I walked into my own house and saw a stranger teaching my broken children how to smile again. The twins hadn't made a sound in 8 months. Not since the accident. Not since their mother's car went off that bridge on Highway 9. Lily and Max just sat in their rooms at the mansion, staring at walls, trapped in a world that had gone silent the same night I lost my wife. The doctors said the trauma from the crash damaged something in their ears. 7 years old, and they'd never hear music again. Never hear me say I love you. Never hear anything. I'd tried everything, specialist after specialist. Sign language tutors who lasted 3 days before my kids retreated back into themselves. Therapists who used words like adjustment period and emotional blockage while charging me $500 an hour to watch my children sit frozen like statues. Money meant nothing when your kids looked through you like you were glass. Hey friends, thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to comment where you are watching from. Someone close to you might be watching too. Like, share, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a story. Make sure to watch till the very end because the final twist is something you definitely don't want to miss. So let's continue. I was drowning in my own home, running a company worth $3 billion while my children slipped further away every single day. I'd wake up at dawn, check on them sleeping, and feel my chest crack open a little more. By noon, I'd be in boardrooms negotiating deals worth millions. By midnight, I'd be standing outside their doors listening to silence, wondering if they dreamed, if they remembered what their mother's voice sounded like. That's when Sarah showed up at my door. Not Sarah from an elite nanny agency in Manhattan. Not Sarah with a resume full of rich family references. Just Sarah, 26 years old, wearing a worn-out jacket and jeans with a hole in the knee, clutching a newspaper ad I'd placed in desperation after the 6th nanny quit. "I'm here about the position," she said, her voice quiet but steady. My assistant Kelly had already started to close the door. "Sir, this is probably not—" "Wait," I said, though I don't know why. Maybe it was the way Sarah stood there, not intimidated by the mansion behind me, not trying to impress me. She just looked tired, real tired. The kind that comes from actually living life, not just existing in it. "You have experience with special needs children?" I asked. "No," she said simply, "but I have experience with pain." Kelly made a small noise of disapproval. I should have agreed with her. This woman had no credentials. No references I could call, no business being in my home with my vulnerable children. But something in her eyes stopped me, a sadness that matched my own. "Come in," I heard myself say. The interview lasted 10 minutes. She'd grown up poor, worked 3 jobs to put herself through community college, lost her younger brother to leukemia when she was 19. She'd taken care of him for 2 years while he slowly faded. She knew what it meant to love someone you couldn't save. She understood silence. "I can't promise I'll fix them," she said, "but I promise I'll see them. Really see them." I hired her on the spot. Kelly thought I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. But something told me this woman with her old jacket and sad eyes might be able to reach my children in a way no expert ever could. The first week was exactly what I expected. Lily and Max ignored her completely. They'd learned that adults came and went, that nobody stayed. Sarah didn't push. She'd sit in the playroom with them, not talking, not trying to engage, just being present. She'd draw pictures and leave them on the table. She'd arrange their stuffed animals into little scenes. She'd eat her lunch sitting on the floor near them. On day 8, I came home early from a meeting. The house was quiet, as always. Too quiet. I headed upstairs to check on the kids and heard something that made me freeze in the hallway. Not sound, vibration. I followed it to the playroom and stopped at the door. Sarah had pushed all the furniture to the walls. The hardwood floor was clear, and in the middle of the room she was dancing, but not normal dancing. She'd taken off her shoes. She was moving slowly, deliberately, her bare feet pressing hard against the wood with each step. The old house had good bones, solid construction, and every movement she made sent vibrations through the floor. Lily and Max were sitting against the wall, their hands flat on the ground, their eyes locked on Sarah. She wasn't performing. She was creating earthquakes. Tiny, beautiful earthquakes. She'd stomp gently and pause, slide her foot and pause, jump and let the floor shake. The children could feel every single movement through the vibrations in the wood. I stood there watching, my throat tight, as Sarah danced in complete silence, and my children who hadn't responded to anything in 8 months, watched with something like wonder in their eyes. She didn't see me. She was completely focused on them. After a few minutes, she gestured for them to come closer. Lily looked at Max. Max looked at Lily. Then slowly, so slowly, they both stood up. Sarah held out her hands. The twins didn't take them, but they stepped onto the floor, and when Sarah stomped, they felt it. Their faces showed surprise, something like a spark. Then Sarah did something that broke me. She started teaching them the vibrations. 1 stomp for yes, 2 stomps for no, 3 stomps for happy, 4 stomps for sad, a language made of feeling instead of sound. I backed away before they could see me, went to my office, closed the door, and cried for the first time since the funeral. Every day after that, I'd find excuses to walk past the playroom. The dancing became their routine. Sarah would create patterns with her feet, and the twins would try to copy them. She brought in a small drum that they could hold and feel the vibrations. She taught them to put their hands on her throat while she hummed so they could feel the vibrations of her voice. And slowly, impossibly, my children started coming back. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But in small ways that built into something bigger. Max smiled at a joke Sarah told in sign language. Lily touched Sarah's face one day, curious, exploring. They started sleeping through the night. They came downstairs for breakfast without being carried. Kelly remained skeptical. "She has no formal training," she'd remind me. "We should have someone certified." But I watched my kids transform, and I didn't care about certifications. Weeks turned into months. Sarah became part of our home. She'd arrive at 7 in the morning and stay until the twins were asleep. She never asked for overtime, never complained. She'd just show up, day after day, giving my children something no amount of my money could buy. Presents. I found myself looking forward to seeing her, not just because of what she did for Lily and Max, but because of who she was. She'd make jokes that caught me off guard. She'd challenge me when I was too strict with the kids. She'd eat dinner with us, and the table didn't feel so empty anymore. One night, after the twins were in bed, I found her in the kitchen making tea. "Thank you," I said. The words felt small for what I meant. She looked up, surprised. "For what?" "You know, for what?" I leaned against the counter. "They're alive again." "They were always alive," she said softly. "They just needed someone to speak their language." "How did you know? The dancing, the vibrations. How did you know it would work?" She was quiet for a moment, her fingers wrapped around the warm mug. "My brother went deaf from his treatments, near the end. He used to love music more than anything. So I'd dance for him," put his hand on the speaker. "He left his folder and went." Kelly stayed. "You can't be angry with me for this. She was acquitted, Kelly. A child she was watching had an accident, and she spent 8 years being punished for it. Or she's a liability you've brought into your home." I wanted to scream at her, fire her, but she'd been with me for 10 years. She'd held this company together when I was falling apart. She genuinely believed she was protecting my family. "Leave me alone," I said. She left. I sat at my desk reading the file, the court documents, the newspaper articles, the testimony from Sarah at the trial, just 19 years old, sobbing as she described hearing the scream and running to find the child on the ground. The family's accusations, the acquittal based on evidence she'd been in the bathroom for 90 seconds when the child climbed onto a chair, opened the window and fell. An accident. A horrible accident. But she'd carried it like a scar ever since. That's why she'd been so hesitant, why she had no references, why she'd looked so tired standing at my door that first day. And I'd let her into my home without knowing. And she'd saved my children. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Quick, light. Sarah appeared in my office doorway, her jacket on, her bag over her shoulder. "Kelly told me about the investigator," she said. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. "I'm sorry. I should have told you from the start." Sarah, I tried to tell you so many times. The words came fast now, desperate. That first interview, I almost said it. But I knew what would happen. You'd see me the way everyone else does, someone who can't be trusted, someone who let a child get hurt, and your kids needed help so badly, and I thought maybe this time I could do something right, and I... Her voice broke. Stop. I stood up. I'll be gone in 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. Please tell Lily and Max I'm sorry. Sarah, stop. I never meant to. I don't care. She froze. What? I don't care what happened 8 years ago. I walked toward her. You were 19. A kid had an accident, you were cleared, and even if you hadn't been, I've watched you with my children for 6 months. I've seen who you are. But Kelly said... Kelly ran a background check because she was worried, and she had every right to be, but what she found doesn't change anything. You've given my children their lives back. You've given me mine back. A mistake you didn't even make when you were basically a child yourself doesn't erase that. Tears ran down her face. Everyone else sees that accident when they look at me. Then everyone else is an idiot. I was standing right in front of her now. I see someone who lost her brother and turned that pain into a gift. Someone who came to my door with nothing but honesty and showed up every single day. Someone my children love. Someone I stopped myself, but barely. Her eyes widened. Someone you what? I should have stepped back, maintained professionalism, protected both of us from complications, but I was so tired of doing what I should do instead of what I wanted to do. Someone I'm falling in love with, I said. The words sat between us like a lit match. You can't, she whispered. I work for you. I'm the nanny. This is... I know. I did step back then. I know all the reasons this is complicated. But you asked, and I'm done lying. Not just to you. To myself. She stood there, tears still on her face, looking at me like I'd just rewritten the world. I need to think. Okay. Can I go? You can do whatever you want, but Sarah, you're not fired. You're not leaving unless you choose to. Those kids upstairs need you, and I need you. Take time to think, but please come back. She left without another word. I didn't sleep that night, just sat in my office wondering if I'd just destroyed the best thing to happen to my family in years by telling the truth. When 7 o'clock came, I walked downstairs expecting an empty kitchen. Instead, Sarah was there, making breakfast like always. You came back, I said. She turned, her eyes red from crying, but clear. I came back. And we need to talk. She set down the spatula. I spent all night thinking about what you said, about what I want. And here's the truth. I'm falling in love with you too. But we can't do this, not while I work for you. It's not fair to anyone. Especially Lily and Max. My heart sank. So that's it? No. She stepped closer. I'm going to stay. I'm going to keep being their nanny, but you're going to fire Kelly. What? Kelly violated my privacy. She treated me like a threat instead of a person. And I can't work in a house where someone's watching me like I'm dangerous. You want me to stay. That's the price. I should have been angry at the ultimatum. Instead, I felt something like relief. She wasn't running. She was fighting to stay. Kelly's been with me for 10 years. I know, and you'll give her a generous severance and a glowing recommendation, but she goes, or I do. I looked at this woman who'd come to my door 6 months ago with nothing and now stood in my kitchen demanding respect, and I'd never been more certain of anything. Okay, I said. Okay? I'll let her go today. Sarah nodded slowly. And after that? After that, we take this slow. We keep everything professional around the kids, and when the time is right, if this is still what we both want, we figure it out. That could take months. I've got time. She smiled then, real and warm, and it felt like sunrise. Okay, Mr. Blake. Call me James. Not yet, she said. Not until this is something I'm allowed to call you. The next 3 months were the strangest, most wonderful torture of my life. Sarah was in my home every day. She'd smile at me across the dinner table, brush past me in hallways, laugh at my terrible jokes, and we'd both pretend we weren't counting down to a moment that felt inevitable and impossible all at once. Kelly left with Grace after I explained. She understood. She'd been protecting us, but Sarah was right. She'd crossed a line. Kelly and I parted as friends, and I hired an assistant who worked from an office downtown. No one in the house except family and Sarah. The twins thrived. Started a special school for deaf children, made friends. Lily even started drawing again, filling notebooks with pictures of Sarah dancing. Max learned to cook with Sarah, both of them laughing silently in the kitchen, communicating through touch and feeling. And me? I fell more in love every single day with a woman I couldn't have yet, until the gala. My company was hosting a charity event. Black tie, 500 guests, major donors. I had to go. Sarah offered to stay home with the twins, but my sister came to babysit instead. You should go, I told Sarah. The event raises money for children's hospitals, including deaf services. You should see what we're doing. I don't have anything to wear to something like that. Then buy something, please. Come with me. She hesitated, then nodded. When she walked down my stairs that night in a simple black dress, her hair down for the first time, I forgot how to breathe. She wasn't trying to be glamorous, she just was, beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with the dress and everything to do with who she was. You look incredible, I managed. You clean up okay too. She smiled, nervous. The gala was at the Natural History Museum. Dinner, speeches, dancing. I introduced Sarah to people as my children's teacher, which was true but felt like a lie. She was so much more than that. We made it through dinner, through the speeches, then the dancing started and I couldn't help myself. Dance with me, I said. James, as your employer, I'm ordering you to dance with me. She laughed. That's definitely an HR violation. Sue me. We went to the floor. I pulled her close, and for the first time in months, I let myself really hold her. She fit against me perfectly, her hand in mine, her head near my shoulder. This is dangerous, she whispered. I know. People are watching. Let them. We danced, and the rest of the room disappeared. Just us, moving together, and I thought about the first time I'd seen her dance. How she'd taught my children a new language through vibrations and love. How she'd taken my broken family and made us whole. I'm done waiting, I said quietly. She looked up at me. What? 3 months. We've been professional, we've been careful, and I'm done. I love you, Sarah. Not as my employee, as the woman I want to spend my life with. So I'm giving you a choice right now, quit and be with me, or stay and we keep pretending. Her eyes filled with tears. You can't ask me to choose. I just did. I need this job. I need the money. I have student loans and I'll pay them off. James, I'll give you a year's salary as severance. I'll give you whatever you need. But I'm not spending one more day in love with someone I can't have because of a rule that doesn't matter. It matters to me. She pulled back slightly. I don't want to be someone you rescued, someone who needs your money. I want to be your equal. Then be my equal. Quit the job and get a new one. Work somewhere else. But come home to me at the end of the day. The music swelled around us. She looked at me like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, deciding whether to jump. I quit, she said. What? Effective immediately. I quit. You'll need to find a new nanny. My heart stopped. Sarah. But I'm not taking your money. I'll figure it out. I always do. And at the end of my 2-week notice, we can have this conversation again, as equals. I laughed, surprised and amazed. You're really going to make me wait 2 more weeks? Professional courtesy. She smiled. Besides, Lily and Max deserve a proper goodbye if I'm leaving. You're not leaving. You're just changing roles. We'll see. She pulled me closer. Ask me again in 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks were agony. Sarah worked her notice, trained the new nanny I hired, a kind woman in her 50s with decades of experience. She made sure the twins understood she wasn't abandoning them, just transitioning to a different kind of presence in their lives. She'd still visit, still be their friend, just not their official caregiver. Lily and Max took it better than I expected, maybe because they could feel that Sarah wasn't really leaving. She'd be around, just different. On her last day, Sarah came to my office after the twins were asleep. 2 weeks, she said. 2 weeks. I stood up from my desk. So I can ask now? You can ask. I crossed to her, my heart pounding like I was 20 years old again. Sarah Brennan, will you have dinner with me tomorrow night? Not as my employee, not as my children's nanny, just as you and me. I thought you'd never ask. She smiled, and it was sunshine breaking through clouds. Yes. That first date turned into a second, then a third. Within a month she had a drawer at my house. Within 3, she'd moved in. Within 6, I proposed on the same floor where she'd first danced for my children, and she said yes before I'd even finished asking. We got married a year later in my backyard, with just family and close friends. Lily and Max were our ring bearer and flower girl, both of them dancing down the aisle instead of walking, creating vibrations that made every guest smile. Sarah wore a simple white dress. I cried through my vows. She cried through hers. When we kissed, the twins stomped their feet so hard the ground shook, and everyone laughed and cried and celebrated the strange, beautiful way love finds us when we stop looking. That was 4 years ago. Now Sarah runs a non-profit teaching dance therapy to deaf children. She goes to schools and community centers and shows kids that silence doesn't mean you can't feel music. She's helped hundreds of families find new ways to communicate. Lily and Max are 11 now, thriving, happy. They still dance with Sarah every morning before school. It's their ritual, their language, their way of staying connected to the woman who taught them that being different doesn't mean being broken. And me? I'm just grateful. Grateful I placed that ad in the newspaper. Grateful Sarah showed up at my door with her worn-out jacket and honest eyes. Grateful I listened to something beyond logic and let her into our lives. People ask me sometimes about that first day, how I knew Sarah was special. I tell them I didn't know. Not really. I just knew I was desperate and she was brave, and sometimes that's all you need, 2 broken people willing to try. But that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is this. I walked into my own house one random afternoon and saw a stranger teaching my children how to smile again. And in that moment, watching her dance in silence, creating earthquakes my kids could feel instead of hear, I learned something I'd forgotten in my grief and wealth and desperation, that the most valuable things in life can't be bought or planned or controlled. They find you when you're ready to be found. Sarah didn't fix my children. She taught them they didn't need fixing. She taught me the same thing. Sometimes I still stop at the playroom door and watch. Sarah and the twins dancing together, their feet creating rhythms only they can feel, communicating in a language they invented together. Lily smiling, Max laughing silently, Sarah loving them both like they're her own. And I think about that first day, how I almost closed the door, how I could have missed this entire life if I'd listened to logic instead of instinct. The miracle wasn't that Sarah could help my deaf children. The miracle was that I was broken enough to let her try. That's the thing about love, real love. It doesn't look the way you expect. It shows up with holes in its jeans and sadness in its eyes and nothing to offer except presence and honesty. And if you're brave enough to let it in, it doesn't fix you. It teaches you that you were never broken to begin with, just waiting for someone to speak your language. True communication happens through understanding and presence, not just words. Meet people in whatever language they speak, whether it's vibrations, touch, or simply showing up. Your deepest pain can become your greatest purpose when you transform grief into empathy and use your wounds to heal others. A compassionate heart with no credentials will often accomplish more than a certified expert without genuine care. Love and creativity matter more than diplomas. One mistake or tragedy from your past doesn't define your worth or future, and everyone deserves a second chance to prove who they really are. Being vulnerable enough to admit you're struggling and need help is true strength, not weakness. Even the most successful people can't do everything alone. The best things in life arrive unplanned when you stop forcing outcomes and stay open to unexpected possibilities, especially love. Different doesn't mean broken. People don't need to be fixed or made normal. They need to be understood, honored, and celebrated exactly as they are. Trust your instincts even when logic and other people's opinions say otherwise, because your gut often knows what your mind hasn't figured out yet. Extending grace and second chances to people despite their past creates opportunities for redemption that transform everyone involved. Small acts of consistent love and daily commitment create real miracles. Showing up matters more than grand gestures, and patience changes lives one moment at a time. This beautiful story teaches us that true communication goes far beyond words, showing us that when we're willing to meet people where they are, we can connect in the most unexpected and profound ways. It reminds us that our deepest pain doesn't have to destroy us, but can instead become the very thing that helps us heal others, turning our wounds into wisdom and our grief into gifts. We learn that compassion and creativity often matter more than credentials or expertise, because a caring heart can accomplish what no amount of training ever could. The story shows us that one mistake from our past doesn't define who we are or limit what we can become, and that everyone deserves the chance to prove their true character beyond their worst moments. It teaches us that admitting we need help isn't weakness, but courage, and that even the strongest among us sometimes need someone to reach into our darkness and pull us toward the light. We discover that the best things in life rarely come when we're searching for them, but instead arrive unexpectedly when we're open and vulnerable enough to receive them. Most importantly, this story reminds us that different doesn't mean broken, that people don't need fixing but understanding, and that real love means celebrating someone exactly as they are, rather than trying to change them into what we think they should be. It shows us to trust our instincts even when everyone around us questions our choices, to extend grace to those with complicated pasts, and to remember that small acts of consistent love create bigger miracles than any grand gesture ever could, because transformation happens quietly, one patient moment at a time. Dear friends, what you just saw is only one part of the bigger picture. In the next video, I'll reveal the twist no one saw coming, so make sure you're here when it drops. I would love to know what you would have done in this situation. Drop your thoughts below. I'll be reading every single comment. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much, and don't forget to give this video a like, hit the subscribe button and share with someone who needs to hear it.